what up, guys? This is TG and my co-host James. We're about to do another episode of the Spectrum Podcast, featuring your one and only. We're going to talk about the coaching rankings that has gotten everybody up in a tangent. We're also going to talk about how the SEC has a potentially might be bending to the Big Ten's 24 playoff rule. And we're also going to talk a little bit of college basketball and some NBA news that has come up as well. James, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Spring break has just officially started, so I'm excited. Get a have a little break in the week. Caught up on a lot. Caught up on a lot of sports, a lot of football, a lot of trade talks, a lot of college. Excited.
Yeah, when we get the opportunity, I'll give you the chance to talk about some trade talks that have been going on the next episode.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and guys, apologizing here. Yeah, guys, apologizing here because if you see any set of lagging, it's some lagging that's been going on with the computers. So if you guys kind of don't hear us clearly, just know that that's what's been going on.
Mm.
So first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring up the coaching rankings because apparently people tend to have a problem with this coaching ranking, particularly the top three. Now, let me go through
Mm.
the top 10 fully. At 10, you have Mike Elko of the Texas A&M Aggies. You have Mario Cristobal at 9, which the only reason he's even on this list is because he made it to the national championship game. Uh, at 8, if I'm reading this correctly, which I would think I am. Hold on. Let me see. Yep. Okay. So at 8 is Steve Sarkisian. Uh, at 7 is Kellen DeBoer. 6 Lane Kiffin. 5 Marcus Freeman. 4 Dan Lanning. Kirk Signetti is at 3. Kirby Smart at 2, and then Ryan Day at 1. These are Josh Pate's rankings, and I know everybody tends to have a bit of a tiff with his rankings, but he's
Mm.
also talked about what qualifies for his rankings, which is what have you done in the past like 3 to 4 years. I mean, even 5 years, you could say, in a sense. But what have you done within the past 3 to 4 years? And what is the future outlook like in the Power Four? He is not talking about what you did back when you were part of some G5 school. Like, no G5 school coach will make this list. It's specifically all about the Power Four. So, I'm not gonna lie. Let me give my opinions on this first. I've talked about this. If you guys go to Patreon, if any of you should do is subscribe to Patreon so you guys can actually go ahead and listen to all takes because we have the Asylum show on there, and we allow fans to go in there and give their entire talking point. You can find the link in the description of this video below. Um, I talked about why Kirk Signetti's 3. It's because of what he's done in the first 2 years. And while he's done great at Indiana, what has he done within 3 to 4 years as a Power 4 head coach? He was never a Power 4 head coach. He was only a James Madison coach. And look, while people will find that impressive, trust me, Josh Petty will give him credit for that. He gives credit for a great coaching job he's done. But you've only have 2 years of success here. You need, and I mean this when I say this, you absolutely need to have 3 to 4 years. This national championship is the biggest reason why he made it to 3. If he didn't win this national championship, he would not be at 3, if anything.
Mm.
Not only that, but when you look at what Ryan Day and Kirby Smart have done within that circle, especially even though Kirby has not won a playoff game since 2022, and we all know Georgia got screwed over when they got left out in 2023. But they haven't won a playoff game since. But he does have a national title to his name within that time period. So there's no more you can say to that. And not only that, but Georgia and Ohio State have been consistent, always in the national title hunt, always at the top of their conference, always will be there. Kirk Signetti has to show that he can do that consistently and win more natties than Ryan Day and Kirby Smart, which, again, winning more than Kirby is going to be hard because the man has back-to-back natties.
Mm.
So Kirk Signetti's going to have to show he can be every bit as consistent and can win more natties. And I'm not going to lie. I will say that when it comes to what he does, I don't think he can sustain it. I think that's one little thing I will say with Signetti's. I don't think he'll sustain what he's done in Indiana. Like, I think he'll keep them as a good team, but I don't think they're going to be a team competing for natties like that. Maybe the playoffs for sure, but natties, no.
Mm.
I don't think so. Give your opinions, James, on what you think of this list.
So from a standpoint, like you said, I think if you go off national championship, if you go off teams that have consistently been in the playoffs and the playoff hunt, that have consistently been first conference champions in their respectable divisions, uh, I I like I feel that to have Kirby Smart at first, after everything he's done in Georgia, he's an incredible coach. Like he went on literally a back-to-back tear of national championships. But over the past couple
Hmm.
of seasons, you have not really heard a lot about Georgia. Georgia have had good moments as a great team, but as a national championship team, not so much. They've kind of struggled in that way. Um, Ryan Day has always held Ohio State to a high excellence and high potential, especially with the way that they are as a team. This year, I think it showed some little holes that I already know Ryan Day is going to fix up, and they're going to be right back into a playoff contention team next season. I'm a little surprised that Market Freeman is so high on this list. I'm not going to lie, and no offense to Notre Dame and to the, but to have him to be fifth as a top five of this coaches ranking, I'm very shocked. I'm a little shocked because he
I'm not
still
gonna lie. Like, I think
feels.
I'm not gonna lie. The only reason he's even on this list is because of what he did in 2024. Because like Mario Cristobal, you made it all the way to the national title, and you got
Mhm.
beat by Ohio State. Whereas for Mario Cristobal in Miami, you got beat. Now, I'm not saying that's a great. That's like a way to put him forward. But here's what I will say: if you're gonna put him, and I can understand this too, though. If you're gonna put him that high for that over Lane Kiffin and over Steve Sarkisian, who has also like been in the playoffs, then put Mario Cristobal at least at like
Mhm.
6 if you're gonna put Mario if you're gonna put Marcus Freeman ahead of them. I'm just saying. Like, cause he made it too to the national title game. And look, I get it. Both like Mario Cristobal and Miami have been mediocre. I get that. They have been. They've been really mediocre. And this is the one year they actually have made it all the way. But guess what? So is Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. So like you gotta be able to hold both standards, if we're being honest. You gotta be.
From
You got to.
Miami's standpoint, I agree. It's been a close type of game for them. So, and to make it to the national championship, to be in that situation, going against a game number one team ranked in Indiana, who
Hmm.
was surprising. I'm not from the season coming in, where it's a very surprising team. They weren't the top of everybody's ranking list. If we go back to the preseason,
I said they should have
Texas.
been top 5 only because of how good they were.
Mhm.
Like, you gotta give them that credit. Like, not number 1, but, like, give them top 5 or top 10 if you're not at it. That's what I would say. If I'm anybody.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And look, if you're talking about, like, going into next year, then yeah, like, Kirk Cinetti would be number 1 because he's the national title coach. Like, Josh Payton made this very clear. This is about what you've done in the Power 4 for the past 3 to 4 years. Last time I checked, Kurt Signetti was not in the Power Four during this time, during that 3 to 4 year window. Like these 2 years he's been here is the counting point. The first two he was at James Madison, which is a G5 school, so like that's not gonna count for him. He's got to have more consistent reps at Indiana for him to be considered at number one. Cause I mean, you talked about it, James, with Ryan Day, and a co-host of mine named Alex Bryan, who kind of went out of his way to almost go out of his way to kind of defend Nettie and try to use this verbatim of Ryan Day inheriting Ohio State, which is the same old argument I've been hearing for the longest about Ryan Day inheriting Ohio State from Urban Meyer. I never bothered to correct him during the Patreon show, the after show when they were talking about these rankings, because like I didn't feel like because there was some more information that actually would show how much more impressive it is what Ryan Day's done than even Kirk Signetti. Because no offense to Signetti, he did pull off the greatest coaching job with the losingest program of all time. But the problem is like with Ryan Day, he did not take over the greatest situation. He didn't. I'm trying to tell people, but Ryan Day did not take over the greatest situation. Ryan Day took over a team that had the worst before 2021. Ohio State's 2018 defense was considered the worst defense in Ohio State history, in school's history. It was considered the worst defense. 2019, he makes the best hire in order to elevate them to another level, is what he does. He elevates that defense from being the worst to the best with the Jeff Hafley hire. Then he brings in Justin Fields, because Ohio State's quarterback room, it was bare. You only had Tate Martell, which, let's be real, that wouldn't have worked out well. So Ryan Day brings this offense up, as well as this defense up, and we have the second best defense in the nation. Not the second best defense, the best defense in the nation, the second best offense to LSU's. We have even at this time in 2019, before special teams became an issue, special teams is actually one of the top best in the nation as well. And when you think about it too, with the offense in 2019, we actually became the first school, and still to this day, the only school to have 3,000-yard receivers in the same season, with a 2,000-yard running back at J.K. Dobbins, with the season Justin Fields had, which is absolutely legendary in and of itself, one of the greatest seasons you can see of a quarterback from both a passing and a running standpoint, both. So, and on top of that, like, you even had a 1,000-yard running back in Master Teague, and Master Teague is not even a great running back, let's be realistic. He's good, but he ain't great. And then you have two tight ends who even contributed in the passing and the run game as well. So it's like, when you look at the offense we had during that time, that was because of Ryan Day. He fixed this offense. He fixed this defense. Then what happens? 2020 happens. We go out of our way to still have a good enough defense. Like, the defense took a step back because Jeff Hafley had left. And like I said, I don't blame Ryan Day for that, because that was something that just caught him off guard with Jeff Hafley. But we go to our defense still being good, but yet you could tell it was going to take a step back by the following year. And our offense is still great, even in spite of all the COVID and everything, right? Even though we get our butts kicked by Bama, we went all the way up against a juggernaut. And let's be real, I don't think any of us expect Ohio State to beat that juggernaut. Nobody did, to be honest. But we all know that Ryan Day, I think if Ohio State's team was healthy, they would have kept it close, at least close enough, making it look competitive at least. 2021 happens. Ryan Day's trying to find a DC. He can't find one, so he has to stick with Kerry Combs for this, and he knows the defense is going to take a step back. And we all know 2021, worst defense of all time, but the offense takes a step up and carries us through the season. We all know that for 3 years we had to deal with the Michigan cheating scandal, which led to Ryan Day losing for 3 straight times. But other than that, Ryan Day has to go through all this adversity with dealing with Michigan, dealing with the worst defense he had. Like, I would say 2022 defense was like the third worst defense in school history, not by a lot, but like, it's not like it was terrible. It was much better than 21 by no doubt, but it was still bad by Ohio State standards, but he did do better. And what did he do against Georgia? Because we see it. He's carrying this team all the way through. He loses to Michigan. We all know that he gets a second chance to try to do something in the playoffs. He goes up against Georgia, and this Ohio State team goes blow for blow with, let's be real, the most put together team. Like, that Georgia team, when you think about it, was a more put together team than Ohio State, and they lost that game by 1, and it took a field goal, which, again, we all know special teams started becoming a problem after 2020. 2023, he goes through the same thing, except now he has not so great quarterback play. Like, I give him all the credit with Kyle McCord, because I can see it. Kyle McCord was not a great quarterback when you look at his film. Like, his numbers look good, but his film was terrible. And you can see it. And Ryan Day still managed to get something out of that. And still almost went to the playoffs. And still could have won a natty, even with that guy as his quarterback. Even with. Yes, we go to Missouri Bowl. He falls apart, obviously, because of our quarterback transfers. You have our best players sitting out. A lot of them, actually, whether people know it or not. And then we have to pretty much try to rebuild this offense from the ground up by 2024. That's what Ryan Day had to do. And what did he do? He rebuilds this offense. He rebuilds this defense. He gets Chip Kelly, a man he trusts to be his offensive coordinator, and he ends up building the national championship team that ended up winning it all. Yes, he had to go through a few adversities. And if you go back and look at that man's schedule, he actually had one of the toughest schedules in the nation. Like, let's be real. In all college football last year, Ohio State had the toughest schedule with the bowl let me see here, 3 top 5 games in the regular season, and going up against multiple bowl teams in that one season as well, more than anybody. The only part of the schedule that wasn't tough was the non-conference schedule, and that's because they tried to get other people to try to come play them, other teams, but other teams kept saying no, so they had to stick with like the G5 schools. Even though they didn't want that, they had to stick with that because nobody wanted to play them. And then what happens? We lose to Michigan in 2024. That loss is inexcusable by Ryan Day standard. And instead of fleeing, like most coaches would in his situation, he stands, he fights, and he goes all the way to win another natty. A dominant run that we will never see again. Indiana went on a great one, but was it as dominant as 2024 Ohio State? No. No offense, but it's just truthful. And in all of Ryan Day's time at Ohio State, that man has kept Ohio State in the national title picture. It's just that it's one thing that always screwed him up. And this year, what hurt Ohio State from winning? First of all, the offensive line played like trash in the Big Ten title game and in Miami.
Yeah.
They played like trash in those two games. Julian Saint had trouble reading the field, which was truthful because if you go and look at how long he holds the ball in the Indiana and the Miami game versus all season, he's holding on to it longer than he did before. Meaning he's having some trouble processing. On top of the fact that our special teams, once again, mainly our kicker, Ohio State's kicker, was a problem. So Ryan Day had to deal with all of that, and not only that, but what threw this team off? Brian Hartline getting hired by USF. He had to take that job. And look, no one blames Brian Hartline because the calendar is so bad. There's no if or ands about that. So he has to deal with all of this. What does Kirk Cignetti have to deal with? Like, what? And Josh Pate, who people validate as an SEC guy, people need to understand this guy is an SEC guy, but he's been the biggest defender of Ryan Day. Him and Joe Cattle, they're the only two people in the national media who have ever been the biggest Ryan Day, like just not. I don't want to say supporters, but they support him and they defend him more than anybody in the national media for a reason. And when you look at what he's been through, all this adversity, no offense to Kirk Cignetti, but you've never been through the adversity Ryan Day's been through. This man has to constantly go through stress every day. And I talked about this as well. He is one of the top percentage of coaches, first-time head coaches, who have ever been hired as a first-time coach at a Power 5 job and been successful. Because the percentage of that is 2.6% of a Power 5 coach ever being hired. A first-time Power 5 head coach, period. Matter of fact, first-time head coach, period, being hired to the Power 5. You just saw it with Sherrone Moore. That was not successful, no matter how people want to spin it. That wasn't success, buddy. It wasn't. I'm sorry. Ryan Day's one of those top 1%, and he's doing it in the most hostile. No offense to Ohio State fans. Trust me, trust me, we all know, but we can be hostile towards our own coaches. But he's in the most pressure cooker, hostile, excruciating situation where he's a constant target. Did Cignetti have to deal with that? No. I give him all the credit in the world for what he did at Indiana. That is the greatest coaching job you see. But can Kirk Cignetti handle being in a place like Ryan Day does? Because people who think Ryan Day couldn't coach a place like Indiana, I think he could, to be honest. Because look at the culture he built here at Ohio State. You don't think he can build that anywhere else? And if you ask other teams, football programs, if they have to choose between Kirk Cignetti and Ryan Day, who they hire Ryan Day. Every team's hoping Ohio State would ever find Ryan Day so they could hire him because they knew how good he was. For a reason. No offense to Cignetti, not to say he's not good, but for Cignetti, you have 15 years of coaching. Ryan Day's only has 7, and he's going into his 8th year. And when you have all this success as a first-time hit, if you are handed a program like Ryan Day, most coaches have failed. It does not matter that he got put into a situation at Ohio State. People think that matters. It does not. Because we've seen that before. When Chip Kelly left Oregon and some new head coach replaced them, Oregon fell off the side of the mountain after they made one natty appearance, and they fell off the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And every head coach before Ryan Day has laid the groundwork. Like Brian brought this up earlier. Alex Bryan, again, a co-host of the OHL podcast, he brought this up before. Oh, Ryan Day the foundation started built before Ryan Day. Yeah, the foundation was built here before Urban Meyer. A foundation was built here before Jim Tressel. A foundation was built here before Jonathan Cooper. A foundation was built here before Earl Bruce. A foundation was built here before Woody Hayes. A foundation was built here before Wes Lessler. A foundation was built here before Paul Bryant. Every Ohio State head coach has been part of a foundation. They just add on to it. I look at it as expansion. Under Ryan Day, he's transformed Urban Meyer's empire into a metropolis. That's kind of how I like to look at it. You start from the foundation, you work your way up, and you transform it overnight. It doesn't matter that he hated the place. This foundation has been built here for the past 100 years, people. I understand better than anybody how it feels, but trust me, it does not matter that Ryan Day got handed this. What matters is how has he elevated it? How has he kept it to the next level? I love Kirk Cinetti. I think he's a good coach, but I need to see him be as consistent as Ryan Day. But I especially need to see him in high pressure situations more importantly. No offense, like, yeah, you say the playoffs are high pressure, but I'm talking about constantly being targeted like Ryan Day is. Because that man is the most targeted coach in all college football just by being the Ohio State head coach. Tell me if I'm lying, James. Being the Ohio State head coach makes you the most targeted coach.
I remember back even during that championship run that they had, Ryan Day was constantly ridiculed for the job he was doing at Ohio State. Constantly. And it didn't each loss, it wasn't even it was like, well, you see, this is what we're talking about. Ryan can't win the big, like, it was a whole thing. I agree with you. From Ohio State standpoint, I don't think I've seen a more dominant season. I think Kurt Cinetti, which he did in Indiana, it wasn't dominant. What was it was explosive. It was explosiveness from guys like
Yes.
Mendoza, from the wide receivers to the running backs to the defense. Even in the national championship game, offense was not. It was not an offensive game, a back and forth game. Defenses really stood out for Indiana, and you saw that even in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. It played a part.
Yeah, and honestly, it was two great defenses going back to back against each other. And when you really go back and
Mhm.
look at it, Ohio State had multiple chances actually. When you go back and look at it, it's like Indiana had left a bunch of Ohio State's receivers open, but because Julian Sand is young and he is a young quarterback, I give him the credit for that. But it's like, dude, you had receivers that were open and you like missed them countless times. He did. He missed them like countless times. But that's understandable.
And
Um,
and when I go back
go.
to when they had Justin Fields, I think when we look at when Justin Fields' time in Ohio, it wasn't that he was unprepared. I think a lot of the problems that fell with Justin Fields was the offensive line. He had to create. There was difference in Julian's ideas. He had too much time to think and couldn't think as quickly. And Justin Fields, he thought way too quick. He was like, okay, I only got like 10 seconds in the line. I know he's gonna break down. I know he's coming here. Okay, I know I got him here. And I'm like, and at certain times it was like, Justin, you gotta slow down. Like you are so far here that you're overthrowing, not because you're trying to, but because you're already imagining everything that's happening too quickly, where you can take a step back. But Ryan first has a great coach. He has a great quarterback in Julian Sand. He just needs more time. And as he
Yeah,
takes
I
his
think it's just
time,
more process.
it's just the processing. As he gets the process thing as it's happening, he's going to be great. He's going to be a great quarterback for Ohio State for however long that he's there. I
I think he'll
agree
only
that
be there for
Indiana.
2 years.
I think so. I think he's gonna. I think, especially looking at this draft class that just came out, a lot of these guys they're gonna be. I'm not gonna say game changers for teams, but they're gonna add something in depth. But I think Julian is definitely, when he
Mhm.
gets to where he needs to go, he's gonna be a great quarterback for the NFL. I can agree with you.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I can agree with you on this. Indiana doesn't have to go through the turmoil that Ohio State has to go through of being one of those top teams. I don't know where Indiana goes from here. I don't know where exactly his idea for Indiana goes from here.
I think they
But
could still be like a top 10 contending team. That's where I think they go. Because I don't think they'll
I
fall off like most people think. I think they'll be somewhat in the top 15, top 10. I think they'll still be like a good team, but I don't expect them to be like an Ohio State, a Bama, or a Georgia. Like, I expect them to pretty much just have one of those great years and then like constantly just be in contention for the playoffs. Like, I don't expect national title contenders every year. I don't.
I agree. I think they can definitely be a top 10 team. I think Indiana is still a great team, especially off of that defense that they have. I still want to know where they go from a quarterback from here. losing Mendoza, I want to see who's gonna
Yeah.
step up for him, who's gonna step up in that role, especially because he was a leader. He was a great leader, Mendoza. So I want to see who
Uh-huh.
can step up and take that role in for him. I think
Well, they did get the quarterback from TCU, but I'm like, I think people kind of overrate. I'm not gonna say they're overrating him a little bit, but I'm like, I think people are hyping him up a little too much because it's like I've seen him at TCU. He is a good quarterback, but I'm like, he's got
I
flaws that
think
can be exploited. And even
I
I
think
talked about it with Fernando. He's got
Mhm. Flaws. He
like
got
just
flaws.
like Fernando, he's got flaws that you can exploit. He does, like you do. Like I
Yeah.
like Fernando. I think he's a good quarterback, but the reality is he's just like there were flaws that you could exploit, and like Ohio State's defense did it. Or like the Miami's defense did it. Penn State's defense did it. Iowa's defense did it. Like there are a couple teams that went back and toyed with Mendoza. Like they knew where to go at him. It's just that he managed to. I'm gonna just say this. He managed to make some plays, and he had players that made some plays for him as well. Let's just say that. But
Mm.
with this quarterback as well, it's the same. It's like I think he can make some plays, but at the same time, it's like if you're able to, if you go up against the right team, because I'm not gonna lie, Ohio State, I believe I think if it wasn't for the distractions they dealt with, I think they could have beaten Indiana. Because even in Indiana admitted it themselves. Like they knew Ohio State wasn't gonna be focused on them after the whole stuff with Brian Hartline. So and they had to focus on getting a recruiting class together. So I think they knew that. But if you have like the right team that can exploit those weaknesses, I think it's going to be really obvious, and that's what I think each thing is for Indiana. And I do expect them to take a step back this year. Like, should they be number one? Yes, they're the defending national champions till otherwise. No if, no ands, no buts. Oh, we just lost James. Let's see if he comes back. But but yeah, guys, it's kind of like to me, it's pretty obvious that shoot. Hold on, guys, give me a second. It's pretty obvious that that when it comes down, we'll see if we get James back. But it's pretty obvious to me that with Ohio State and with Indiana and with Georgia, because like with Kirby Smart, you have an argument for making him number one. Kirby Smart and Ryan Day. With Kirk Cignetti, you pulled off the greatest coaching job, no doubt, because you did what nobody else expected. But does that mean you're the best coach? No, because you haven't done it in 3 to 4 years at the Power Four level. Like, yes, as a G5 coach, you're probably one of the best that was down there, but they're not counting that. They're counting what you did at the Power Five, Power Four to be exact. Um, no offense, it's just truthful. And look, I respect the hell out of Cincinnati, but I do not expect him to be. Oh, guys, James just texted me. He said his internet went out. All right, I think this is him. We're coming back right now.
Mhm.
Uh, he's back. Hey,
Was that
I see
me?
your internet. Yeah, that
That
was
was
you,
my
dude.
internet? Oh wow.
Yeah, that was you. That internet went out on you, dude. My internet's working just fine, even though, like I said, the computer lagging a little. But
That's crazy.
it happens. But I was talking about how, like, with Kirk Cinetti and them, like, I respect what he's done, and I think he did an
Right.
excellent coaching job. But I'm not ready to call him the best coach until he shows me consistently for the next 5 years that he can operate at that level on a consistent basis. But again, I don't expect Indiana to. I expect them to be a good team. And like I said, and let's be real, Indiana was underestimated. You will never be underestimated again after this. Teams will put their 100% focus on you now. When you constantly have that pressure, because this would be the thing I want to ask everybody. Again, Signetti's never been in a situation like Ryan Day, which is why I kind of find it more impressive what Ryan Day's done. And no offense to Signetti, but it's like Ryan Day has to deal with pressure every damn day. Every
Mhm.
single loss that man takes is gonna be criticized. But Kirk Signetti,
Yep.
he ain't dealing with that. Ain't nobody gonna criticize an Indiana loss. Ain't nobody gonna care. No offense, it's just truthful. So when I look at Kirk Signetti, I want to see him in that position for myself. And look, no offense, but if we saw him in a place like Ohio State, I don't think he would last because the way
Mm.
Signetti coaches, it reminds me of Urban Meyer in a sense. Like with the exhilarating fire and anger that he has, the way he coaches. Like he coaches with anger, the way Urban does. The problem was for
Mhm.
Urban is because you're at a place like Ohio State, that will burn you out real quickly. For Cignetti, him staying in Indiana would be the best possible way because it's not going to burn him out. Like if he went to a place like Ohio State, he would get burned out in like 6, 7 years, maybe 8. But he would get burned out really quickly at a place like this. Whereas in Indiana, you ain't worried about that. Because what is Indiana really gonna do? Like, if you go to having like a 9-3 season every year or a 10-2 season, Indiana fans ain't mad at that. Indiana ain't mad at that. They ain't expecting much. They just happy they got a good program, so they're not gonna expect you from anything, and they're happy you won them a natty. Whereas for Ohio State, have a 10-2 season. Watch how everybody be criticizing the hell out of Ryan Day, even if he still makes the playoffs. Watch how they criticize the hell out of him.
They
Even if he
and they
went like
will.
10-3, watch how everybody criticize the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Like, watch how they do. That's what everybody does because you're expecting better from Ryan Day and you're expecting better from Ohio State. He's got to deal with that constant stress of being the Ohio State head coach. And look, he loves it too because he loves having expectations. Because when you
Mhm.
have that kind of expectations, it means you're the best. And more importantly, for a lot of people, he also knows this. Everybody, if you beat Ohio State, it means something. Meaning everybody's gonna want to beat you, including the lower tier teams. And the only reason it's made like this is because of how the media makes it. Talked about
Mm.
it again. Go back to 2024 Oregon. Everybody hated Oregon. Everybody hated Oregon in 2024. Then they beat Ohio State in the regular season. All of a sudden, they're the best team, and everybody loves them. And it's like this what they talking about. So like, and then guess what? You see Ryan Day getting criticized like no tomorrow. So until I see Cignetti in that kind of a situation where he can consistently operate at that high of a level on a
Mhm.
consistent basis, the way Ryan Day does, especially in high pressure situations, that's the only way I'm gonna probably give him his due is if he can do exactly what Ryan Day and even Kirby Smart. No offense, but Kirby Smart operates in an even higher stress level than Kirk Cignetti because it's the SEC. God damn it, they care about football down there. So until I
I
see
feel it.
that, I don't think I'm gonna give him the credit. I don't think I'm gonna give him the credit, no matter how much people want to get. Like I'm not gonna give him number one. Like, look, going into 2026, he's the number one coach because he won the Natty.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about like
I
number one for like the past 4, 3, 4, even 5 years, hell to the no, he is not the number one coach. I'm sorry. But that's what that list was based on. Josh Pate's list is based on what you've done at the Power Five, aka the Power Four level, for the past 3 to 4 years. And even gives off base projections as to what it could look like. Like with Indiana, you don't know if they're going to be that elite team because what they did is not sustainable. Like they have to be able to develop kids at an elite rate, not just
not again.
son of a bitch. Keep going. Let me kind of figure something out here because something just went on my end.
As you can see, technical difficulty at the Ohio podcast. I first want to say when it comes to Indiana, and she's there's going to be a target on their back this season, not because they just won a national championship, not because they had an incredible unbeaten season, but because now teams understand who they are. They've finally got to understand their tape, understand what kind of coach Cincinnati is, understand what kind of team they are, where they're going to make them look like they should not have been the number one team in the country the season before. Now, for if we're going to go off preseason stats and preseason and everything else, I think Texas is number one. Still, I think it's unproven, but I think Texas can be number one this year. I think Archie Manning is really going to come into himself as a quarterback he needs to be. I think that they have an incredible defense, and I think they're gonna. There's definitely some things to look at. I think LSU is definitely gonna be on top of that list, especially with all the new signings, all the new things that is going to be happening at LSU. That team is going to feel unstoppable. I think Ohio State is still right in the middle. Notre Dame, for you to be a top five coach, I need to see a top five team. I need to see a top five team that goes out and beats top ranked opponents. Because right now we have seen the past 2 years, Alabama is good, but they're not great. Georgia is turning back into Georgia. This is the time now to make runs when you need to make runs, especially for teams that are still trying to find their way. Now, are we going to see another dark horse next season? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get another dark horse team. I don't know if we're going to get one of those teams that we're going to be very surprised in us. I do know that the powerhouse teams are coming for Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they won the national championship. Like I said, not because they won the national championship, not because of going undefeated. They're going after Indiana because now they understand that team. And they're going to find the holes that Cincinnati has. They're
Oh yeah.
going to they're going to try to dominate their way through Indiana. And they are. And that's fine. And this is going to really tell if Cincinnati can handle the pressure of first being a national championship coach and now having to defend that.
Oh
Because
yeah.
defending is always harder than winning it.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to defend is always harder than winning.
Oh, ask Ohio State, ask Bama, ask Georgia. Like that's so
Hmm.
hard. So it's
Yeah.
like, and look, yeah, I apologize. It's like for some reason I had to relocate down here because of my. For some reason I was having some internet issues. I don't know what was going on, but
You're a lot clearer. I will say it's no lag on this part.
yeah, no, like the lagging stopped now. It stopped. But it's I don't know why that happens over here. I wasn't having that problem before, but now it's like it started becoming a problem. So yeah, but
Mm.
talking all about the playoffs and more importantly with Indiana, because this does involve them. And I will give my final thoughts on this. For Indiana, this will be the time you show that you can handle being in the spotlight because now everybody gonna be coming for
Yeah.
you and everybody gonna be looking to want to whoop your ass now because
Hmm.
they're like, we finna beat this team. We're gonna beat the national champions. Like, look,
I mean,
beating the national champions means just as much. It means a lot. So like everybody gonna be gunning for you. So let's see how you can handle that. But as for the playoffs, we do know that SEC teams seem to be bowing down to the Big Ten regarding a 24 team playoff now. Like they really want to do it. Now, JR of the Big Ten Huddle did give a detailed plan as to why this 2014 playoff happened to be a thing. It seems it's a
hmm,
better way for them to make more expansion. What do I mean by that? They want to do more realignment, get more teams. From what I understand, the Big Ten's goal is to get to 20 teams. And I think this will pretty much help them get 20 teams and try to get more teams in, as well as the SEC, because more importantly, we see how much they complain, for God's sakes. Same with the ACC and the Big 12. So I think this might just try to get people to get more realignment and get more teams in there to try to make it, which, when you think about it, and not only that, but it also includes some members of the G5, mainly two, if I'm betting my money on that. But
hmm.
that's it. If I'm being honest, do I want a 2014 playoff? No, but I understand the strategy behind it, especially when you have conferences filled with like what 20 teams, and you're including like how many G5 teams? At least two, like I said. So it's like it kind of makes sense from what I can understand from an overall standpoint, but it's like no, I don't want that. I just stay at 12 or make it 16. Like 12, like 14 to me is perfect because that's
Mm.
NFL and like that type of playoff model has always worked. But
Mm.
but if it's me, just go with 14 if I was saying you're gonna change it again, or keep it at 12. Keep it at 12, like 12 to 16 is enough. Like I don't want to see no freaking 24. Like I don't. Unless again, I understand the plan behind it. I would encourage everybody go check out JR on the Big Ten Huddle. He has the plan expedited on there Go back and just search one of his videos because he talked about it. But I understand the planning, but I don't want it. Like I don't want 24 teams. It's not great. I'm sorry, not for me. It's not. What are your thoughts on 2014 playoffs?
When we did the 12-team playoffs, teams still complained.
Mm-hmm.
As we just saw this season. They were like, well, we had a good season. We beat this team. We should have been in the playoffs. And I'm like, okay, but
Texas.
from a ranking standpoint, from who you beat to the teams they beat, I think it fit. I think we fit for who should have been in the playoffs and who should not have been in the playoffs. I think you
Mm-hmm.
add 20 teams. I think first I think that's way too high. From a
Oh yeah.
football standpoint, way too high. I think you add into like I can the 16 or the 14. I say the 16 just because it's college football and there's a lot more colleges and
Yeah.
from different divisions and stuff like that. I say 16 is great. To add 20 teams, that just takes away from like I think the bowl aspect of half of the playoffs
Yeah,
from
it
like
has a lot to do with like bowl games because I seen the chart in which JR had it up. Again, he's not saying he agrees with it, but he's laid out the plans as to why, and even shown the chart. And I said, you know, what's funny is if this is all about like getting more teams put into conferences, like especially because we all believe the ACC might be on the verge of collapse. Because there are people who do believe this, that there's a chance that could happen. And if that does, you're going to have to add these teams from the ACC to the Big Ten, to the SEC, to the Big 12 if that does happen. So, like, I could see that being 24 for that reason, but it's like, I don't want that. Like, first of all, I hope the ACC can stay afloat because, for God's sakes, I do not want to have no 2014 playoff. Like I said, we could keep it at 16 just because of the divisions, and more
yeah,
importantly, the at large bids as well, which I agree with. But it's like,
that's what I
and look, I can also see this too because the other thing is people want to take the committee out of it because they feel like they get it wrong almost all the time. But here's my thing with that is they've actually gotten it right more times than people realize. And look,
mm,
and let's be realistic. I'm not gonna lie. I think everybody would want Notre Dame to join the conference. So like if you give it like 2014, you're kind of just helping them make it in, unless you have like strict rules as to what their schedule should be because you would have to make it clear with them like they're going to have Power Four schedules if you do that because you can't just give them an out. You can't. So
yeah.
like it's the like because like I said, the 12 team like people who are mad about the Notre Dame's whole if they're in the top 12 they're automatically in the playoffs. Like yeah, that works if they're in the top 12 towards the end. Like that's not going to work for them because it really just gives the committee more of an excuse to screw them towards the end, like not
Mhm.
put them in the top 15 at all. If they lose at least one or two games, like it just gives them the excuse to not do that. So trust me, it already don't work out for them well enough as it is. But don't give them an out. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I can understand if it's like if it's dependent on what JR talked about, which is again conference expansions across either all four or three of them if the ACC falls and if it's dependent on like trying to get rid of the college football playoff committee from like selecting teams because it's like again they've gotten it wrong in the past and they've had some not so great votes in there
Yeah.
and controversial ones so I can understand wanting to
Come
get rid of it but it's like at the same time it's like nah keep it where it is because it's like it's better that way and I'm not gonna lie I like the G5 I think they're actually pretty cute pretty cool substance brand of their own, but I think they need to have their own. If you ask me, they need to have their own playoffs, in my opinion.
mm,
Like they need to have their own natty, pretty much like the FCS. Like with the FCS, you see they got their own national title. That's what the G5 should practically be like. It should be like a miniature league of FBS, where it's like the call up, like what we see the NBA do with the G5, or should I say the G League? I should say.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and I've been saying this about the NFL. I think they should do the same thing. I think the NFL should have their own like little version of the G League for players because it might be a better way for you to help develop these players before they come up. Instead of just throwing them into the line of fire, unless they're like the top 5 picks or top 10, better yet. Like if they're top 10,
And
you're probably gonna do that. But it's like it'd be better if you just through some of these kids in there. That's what I think the G5. That's what I think the G5 should be. That just that alone.
And I agree. When they started doing the I think it's what's it called? The was it the X? Is it football X or AFL?
Yeah,
Like those little
UFL.
leagues?
Yeah, it was the
The
XFL.
UFL.
Yeah, the XFL,
The
which is now the UFL, because they combined
the
themselves with
UFL.
the AFL league to create the
Yeah,
XFL.
because they take players from there. Like some of those players do get NFL contracts at some point.
Hmm.
You could have it where rookies or like players that you kind of see still need to develop can go there and do some little bit of development and still kind of be connected to the season. And
Oh yeah.
it's a whole structure. They are going against ex NFL players and some ex college and high school standouts. So you're still going against game competition and you're
Yep.
also still learning the game at the same pace
Not only
as
that,
the
but I mean,
game.
shout out to the Columbus Aviators channel that we have here on the
Yeah.
OHL podcast, a new UFL team that's been brought in. We're gonna see how they do. You guys check it out. Go to type in Columbus Aviators podcast or the OHL podcast. Trust me, you guys are gonna love it. But that's what I think the G5 should be. And look, you could still play against these G5 teams in the regular season. Like I don't think that would stop the Power Four schools from doing that. It would just say like, look, this would be your best way of like making your money, but also allowing you to feel relevant, to have your own thing instead of just leeching off. Like, yeah, you're still gonna play the Power Five and or the Power Four schools. You're still gonna be able to go up against the top tier to get your money. But this would be a way for you to do your own thing. And look, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to put at least two of your teams in the I would say in the
Playoffs.
playoffs, in our playoffs, at least one or two teams at the utmost. And you know what I think too? It actually would be a good way to make um some more bowl games if you're I mean the NCAA is not smart for God's sakes, but like I mean Eric brought up with bowl season, you could bring that back for week 0. But you can also have another
Yeah.
set of bowl season for like the playoffs with the G5 where it's like you could have some new bowl games, like the New Year's Six bowl kind of playoff or something like that. That's probably what you could
Yeah.
call theirs.
I
Is
I agree. Definitely do that.
Yeah, like
That could
that's what I
definitely
think you
happen.
could do. Is like for the G5 for their playoffs, you call it like the New York Six playoffs, but and then like playoff bowl games, I should say, and then you have them do their own thing, and it could attract a lot of attention because, like I said, if the FCS can have their own set of playoffs, and they don't need to leech off the FBS, why are y'all not doing it? Like y'all can do it. You may not be as rich as these other schools, but you can do that, and you might even be able to get yourself some television deals. Like maybe the Power Four can help you with that. The Power Four can help you get your own set of TV deals as well, and like be able to help you get some. Again, you'll be able to play against a lot of the Power Four schools anyway, so it's like you can still be able to do your
Mhm.
own thing while also having some schools, one or two at the utmost, go to the regular playoffs with the big boys. That's what I think they could do. But like I said, I really do hope that this does, like I don't want it to go to 24, but if it does, and let's just say this, if the 2014 playoff makes sense and the schedules are getting like NFL, where instead of you're doing like 10 games, you're doing
Mhm.
like literally like what does the NFL have right now? Like 18 game season. So
Yeah.
we're going from that, if we're going from the current season format to more of a pro style, which is like we're having like say 14 games, because I think it might make the most sense out of all that. So like say 14 game season, that makes it work, then yeah. But also it would also have to make it make sense because with the 2014 playoff, you have to make this happen early
Yeah.
before spring ball because you have a schedule. So they would have to work around that schedule. They would have to do something around that.
It's
Which
a
you would think
movement.
they would have a plan to do that if they're putting that out there. You would think at least. The Big Ten, at least, I would hope they did.
Yeah, because that would make. I feel like if we're gonna do I also feel if you're gonna do a 20 bracket,
For
24 bracket, you might have to add some extra games.
Oh no, for
You
sure.
might.
I think that's what they have
Yeah.
to do. But like I said, that's why I
You
think
have
they're
to.
doing it because they're doing it for expansion, and I think that's the point of their expansion, to add more conference games, but also
Yeah.
maybe add like maybe one more. out of conference game schedule, maybe like maybe add one more out of conference, and you can have like a change the number of conference games you do have. I think that's what they would have to do if they do that, which
Yeah,
is
they
the
would.
whole point of them doing 24, from what I understand. So it's like that would be the only way it makes sense, because you can't have that kind of a season and not have like some kind of plan put together. So you would think that's what the Big Ten would have.
Mhm. I agree. I
Yeah.
think that's the only way it feels to me, because if we're going to do a 24 bracket, extra conference games and then an extra unconference, because it's going to become now more of a stalemate
Hmm.
for certain teams trying to work their way in, and then certain teams that they know that they're getting in. Because I feel like the ranking itself doesn't mean you're going to automatically get a bid, unless probably you're like a top five. But outside of that, like it's really up to you of what you do to get into this bracket. To have 24 teams, it's an open wide range, and for first, I don't think even with a 24 bracket, every AC like two ACC teams are going to get in, just because of you might get like one, and
I
I
mean,
really don't.
I'm not gonna lie. You gotta give the ACC credit, because like they have the second best bowl record to the Big Ten, and it's kind of funny because I did talk about this with the SEC, because I'm like, if I'm the ACC, I'm telling the SEC, you ain't got no power. You fools went 2-8 in your bowl game. Y'all lost, and we have the second best to freaking. Y'all have the worst out of all the Power Four. When the Big 12 has a better record, has a better bowl game record than y'all, our ACC teams do, and they beat your and look, like the Big Ten, you got a Big 12 team and some ACC teams that did beat the freaking bowl teams of the SEC. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like with the SEC, you can't make a claim like the Big Ten can, because they have been the best in bowl season. You can't, however, like that's where I kind of will say for the SEC, it kind of does hurt you, where it's like y'all better be better in bowl games, because y'all got this superiority complex with inferiority results, which is kind of embarrassing. No, seriously. Like they do.
I, yeah. I think
They
I
do.
think te-
It's just factual. They do.
I
It,
think
it's like
especially when it comes to bowls and in conference play, the wins compared to as a division, I think AC like first, I don't think the ACC is a bad conference. I think the ACC has work to do.
I think they're the
I
worst
think
of the Power Four, but they got work to do.
they have a lot of work to do.
Hmm.
Because of the teams you guys have. I mean, first, half of the ACC teams that you guys have, these are basketball schools.
I mean,
Like these
Indiana
are
was,
basketball.
and then look at what
All right, we
happened.
can be honest. Duke, top ranked, great from a basketball standpoint. Football wise, not so much. North Carolina, same way. I mean, we could see that bringing in a Hall of Fame coach like Bill Belichick. It just
Mhm.
went downhill real quick, real fast. It was
I'll say
not.
this: if they can be like Indiana and actually invest in their football programs, then maybe. And we are starting to see some
Mm,
basketball schools do that. Like I said, Indiana is one of the basketball schools who did
yeah.
invest in their football program. So, like, I will say for the basketball schools in the ACC, if they invest in their football programs, they might be able to do something. Like, I could see North Carolina trying to with Bill Belichick, but I was like, do y'all think that's gonna work out as well as you think he could? Because like he's great in the
No.
NFL and he ain't coaching college. For granted, I mean Matt Patricia didn't coach in college for years. Look at what he's done as a defensive coordinator, but he's a D coordinator. As a head coach, how well do you expect him to do? Even though I will say this, with Bill Belichick and the system he had in place at North Carolina,
Mm.
it actually could have worked. But it's like, did North Carolina really invest as much as they should have, even with Bill Belichick?
No. Because I also think that they didn't know what that season was going to look like. Because even when there was a whole conversation before he even got hired between him and in North Carolina, that seemed to me it wasn't a conversation of you're our coach, we really like you. It was more like, hey, are you going to come here and like not be ready, or are you going to be ready? And it's like, are you asking me, am I going to be able to coach? Are you asking me, am I the guy? Or are you asking me to be the guy? And even when he got there, and during that process, it looked like they had no intention of really building a good team around him.
Yeah, that's the
It
thing
just,
is when I look at North Carolina, I'm like Bill Belichick's system with what he had put in there regarding like if you go back and like watch what he said and more importantly in articles, it's like he has like a whole commit like he has some regarding NIL like plans. I can't remember exactly word for word in every facet, but it was a really good structure. And I said, oh, you know what? If North Carolina really put their thoughts into it, they probably could become a good team. But it's like when I watch them,
yeah,
I'm like, y'all really are not trying. Even though Bill Belichick's system could actually work, and it's something that can actually
yeah.
be successful if the right school puts their work behind it. Like for instance, I actually talked about it with Chris and them about how Ryan Day can restructure his coaching staff regarding the analysts, how it can help him and this team, and more importantly with the coaching. So this way, with what happened with Brian Hartline, you don't have to worry about that happening again because it's like you actually have coaches that can come in and back up who could probably be able to fill that spot. And in the case of like offensive coordinator, you have someone who could call offenses if that happens again. Now Arthur
Mhm.
Smith ain't got to worry about that because Arthur Smith ain't. Now I will say this: he'll probably go back to the NFL at some point, but you ain't got to worry about this guy leaving to go become a head coach somewhere else. Like you ain't got to worry about that. Because yeah, it's not like seriously. I don't think these NFL guys have mainly Matt Patricia and Arthur Smith. I don't think they have any passion to be head coaches in the college world, especially with how it is right now. Like until there's some order
Yeah.
brought, I don't think they're gonna try.
I think a lot of coaches. I agree with you. I think a lot of coaches are they want to stay kind of like in the assistant
Yeah.
coordinator or offensive, but if they do get a, they're more, if they do want to get a head coaching position, it's definitely going to be NFL wise.
Oh yeah. Me too.
And after the coaches poll this year, I don't think a lot of these coaches are going to be staying next year around. So it's definitely going to be some
Yeah.
openings
Yeah, so
again.
that's what I'm thinking. But it's like with Bill Belichick, though, if he came to Ohio State and he gave them that proposal, like say he was the head quality control coach, I use that as the head coach that would be, he's basically the head coach of the analyst booth, is basically like
Right.
you're the head coach of the people up there, you're going to be in charge, and you're going to be able to help the head coach and the coordinators,
Mhm.
along with your defensive quality control coach and your offensive quality control coach, people that your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator trust, you'll be able to help them in certain situations regarding what you're seeing from the box, what you're seeing in replay, so they know if they need to challenge this stuff, and help them be able to make some certain decisions based on some stuff. Like for instance, with Matt Patricia, you got Josh Boyd, who he worked with from New England. Like he trusts Josh Boyd. That would be your defensive quality control coach. Boom, you already fixed that. You would have to figure out who Arthur Smith. Now with Arthur Smith, he just hired he hired one of his former offensive line coaches from the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta
Yeah.
Falcons to come be an assistant here at Ohio State. So like you already got something happening there. And like I said, what quality control as well as the analyst, you can have it all spread out across all the positions in every single facet. You just need to have the right people put in those places. And if you're worried about the pay's not going to be a problem. Like there's a certain pay that these analysts and quality control coaches make that you're not going to compromise for them. You just got to find the right people. And for Bill Belichick, I think he's someone who could have fit into that role because A, he's 70 plus. Okay. Like, secondly, he's at a place like Ohio State where you know culture is there. You know for a fact that this program is one of the best and most consistent. Like, I don't think he'd have a problem with that. And I think if his ideas from North Carolina to Ohio State, I think you would see Ohio State execute that in so many ways. And I think it would work with them because with Ohio State, they're that program that takes football seriously. Even though Ohio State's
Yeah.
had their own set of issues with guys like Gene Smith, where you're like, you care about the football program as much as you say you do, but we know Ohio State cares about football because it's what makes them the money they do. So he brought that here. I think it would have worked. Like I said, with
Mhm.
what I'm saying, what you do with the quality control coaches, the assistant coaches, the analysts, the way I had it all laid out, it can work with Ohio State because A, nobody's going to want more money because let's be realistic. You go anywhere else in college, this is pretty much the most stable job you're going to get. And it's probably the best shot you have of getting promotions in the NFL or getting a head coaching job if you want one. And for being honest, it's what's going to give you the best set of jobs. But secondly, it's like if you have the right people put in that scenario, you're not as worried about it. You're not too worried about it. So when I look at teams in the ACC, I'm like, if these teams could be more like Indiana, like what we've seen with Mark Cuban, who's been giving them money, and you actually invest in your football program, you just might be able to have a good football program. Maybe not at the top like a Bama or Georgia or an Ohio State. Honestly, I don't know if there would be a program like that, but you'll be a good college football program that will be competing for the playoffs every year, potentially competing for a national title every now and again if you could be consistent.
Two things. From North Carolina's standpoint, there should be no reason we are not pushing for kids to come to North Carolina first to get coached by a Super Bowl winning, playoff winning coach in Bill Belichick. No matter what you feel, he there should be no possible reason. While I don't care how you feel about him, he's proven time and time again that he can create stars in gyms. And I feel like watching
I
North
think
Carolina
what
play.
really hurts him is North Carolina because nobody like look, I think people would love to get coached by Bill Belichick, but the problem is, do you think North Carolina is all that? Whereas, like, if he was at a place, say, like a freaking Bama, yeah, I think everybody want to go get coached by Bill
Oh,
Belichick. If he was here at
if
Ohio
I
State,
think
everybody want to get coached. I mean, look at what it did for Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator 3 times under Bill Belichick, and and you have a lot of defensive players that want to get coached by this guy because they want to learn from him. And it'd be fascinating.
you,
Now, you do got some of these
you
kids who will take money into account because money is also
yeah,
a big part of this as well because some of these kids will take the highest bag because they're not in great situations. Again, I ain't gonna criticize
fair.
them kids for that.
That's fair.
But that's just the other thing as well. Like you will have to have a perfect combination of the money, the stability, and the showing of success. And I think that is the other thing too with Bill Belichick is his past time in North Carolina. Again, I don't blame him. I think North Carolina really didn't set him up well and really didn't even
No.
try. But it's that's always gonna hurt you. Like, and some people would say this, like, look, you be a great NFL head coach, but in college, that could be questionable. Now,
You know who'd be great for Bill Belichick?
mhm.
USC. USC
Oh
would
yeah,
be great for Bill Belichick because of the school, and where it is. Everybody wants to go play for a Big Ten school. Bill Belichick would have turned USC around in 2 years max.
oh yeah, like bro, Bill Belichick. I think he could turn that school around. If I'm being honest, like I mean, he do a better job than Lincoln Riley. Even though I will say
Mm,
this, USC has done a better job this year in Big Ten. They've adapted pretty well, but they're still not that good of a team. Like no matter how much people are saying. And
I
that idiot Shaw, he knows who he is, who kept talking all that mess. It was kind of like, dude, USC sucks. Like I don't care how big the LA market is. Like if USC sucks, no one gives a damn. No one gives a damn. Like yeah, that team better be good for people to give a damn. If you're an average Ohio State player, you're more recognized. If you're an average Alabama player, you're recognized. Average Georgia player, you're recognized. If you're an average USC player, no one gives a damn.
yeah.
No one gives a
I,
damn.
I think it's between that school and UCLA because UCLA has had the past couple of years terrible Big Ten
Oh yeah,
combinations.
that's because of
That's football
terrible
school.
coaching hires. They actually did
Yeah,
make a good coaching hire. This one though, like this coaching hire they made is actually a good one. So we'll see how that
I
works.
I want to see how he works with their QB.
Mm-hmm.
For him to be as ranked as high as he was, especially coming out of Tennessee, I still haven't seen it. I haven't
Again,
seen it.
talent's there, but it's like the development you got to question a lot.
Yeah, it's just development. You got to question a lot, but his talent is there. I see it. So UCLA
And look,
has
he
some things to
did
work
show it at
out.
UCLA, especially when they like when it mattered. Like when you started seeing UCLA turn it around, started winning their games, and it's like you're like, okay, it's there. Can you show me this more consistently? And even against at like Tennessee, he was the reason they made it to the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
the year before, like in 2024,
Mhm.
he was the reason, and he kept them in that game because he was the toughest. Like I got to give that kid credit; like he was super tough. So like if there's anything you give Nico, it's like this guy definitely can do what we think he can. It's just that he has not been consistent and the development has been super questionable.
And I think I would have liked him to stay at Tennessee only because of where his development would be as his
Yeah,
progression.
honestly, blame his family, blame his greedy family for trying to get more money out of Tennessee. It's like, dude, you got
Yeah.
paid $8 million. Just don't beg for more.
Yeah, you can pay 8 mil. I think I'll take the 8 mil. Because you got to look at it from a standpoint of you're worried about 8 mil now compared to an NFL contract you're going to get in the next couple of years. Because you're going to be playing for somebody's team.
Hmm.
Now, either you're going to be standing behind somebody for a year, learning, developing
Which is better.
still, right? And then you're going to get put like for Mendoza, there's no development. He's getting right thrown into the fire. Like they've already
Even though
cleared
I don't think
space.
they should do that, because I'm not gonna lie, like people are kind of overrated him in a sense, because it's like I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's some franchise quarterback. I think he's more like in that Joe Flacco role where it's like he's
Mm,
not a franchise, but you can build him up into one if you have the right system to put him in. Like I would say this: put him with a guy like John Harbaugh, who did that with Joe
yeah,
Flacco. You could see him succeed, but if like he goes to the wrong team because of how much people constantly overhyped him, yeah, it's not going to work out well for him. I just
yeah,
promise the guy, because people who think that this guy's going to be the savior, I'm like, pay attention a little bit more. Like the kid is good, but that kid's got severe flaws where it's like if he doesn't go to the right team to get developed, he's going to have a failure career. It's just
yeah.
how that works. I mean, we've seen it.
And I wish Gino would have stayed because he could have definitely sat behind Geno Smith, who's a veteran quarterback in his own presence and has done a lot of good work. But
True.
now they released Geno Smith, so now he's definitely the head guy now, and he's going to be getting hit with a lot very quickly,
Oh
especially
man, if
when
the Raiders draft him, that's going to be a
yeah, nah, they're drafting him.
That's gonna be bad. Like, bro, y'all should have kept Gino while y'all had him. It might have been better. Plus, Gino had a really good resuscitation of his career. Then he goes
He
to the
is.
Raiders. I was like, man, you had such a good resuscitation, and you just went to a real. Now, for granted, when he left Seattle, Seattle wasn't a great spot as much as be like. No, people need to understand this. Like Gino's spot at Seattle was not a good team at the time. Like he
Yeah.
kept them afloat. Him and Shane Waldron. No matter how much people want to criticize him, I said it before. That offensive line was horrible. That was one of the worst
Mhm.
offensive lines. And Shane Waldron managed to scheme around that offensive line to keep it where it's at. So like Gino pretty much leaving Seattle, and no one would have expected Seattle to be as good as they were, except they managed to change it around. They fixed their offensive line. They managed to they let Shane Waldron leave because they were able to change their offense because they wanted to. And
Yeah.
then once they found the quarterback they wanted in Sam Darnold, it's like, yeah, everything took off from there. So I say for Gino, hopefully he finds himself in a much better situation. I hope. Um,
I,
hopefully he does.
uh, I for right now, I want him to find. I feel like Arizona is gonna be a team he's gonna definitely look at. I think
Mm.
Minnesota is definitely gonna be another great team he's gonna look at too. It's Gino's gonna find his way. Gino's
Yeah,
gonna find his way.
but I do hope for Fernando, because it's like if he goes to the Raiders, yeah, I don't think his career gonna last. Like, dude, you'd be
Well,
better
I
off.
don't. If I think if he goes to the Raiders first, it's they're gonna understand. They're gonna see where he's gonna lack and where a lot of improvement is gonna have to come from, and it's gonna come quickly. And he's not gonna have time to really. He's gonna have time to adjust, but it won't be quick. Like I think you saw. I think we saw with Cam Ward this year. Cam started to finally kind of get a feel around week 10, week 11 was when I felt like Cam really started to understand the flow of the game. I think Mendoza is going to need the entire season to really get his flow because he's going to
Oh,
rely on a lot of other people.
yeah, I'm just not great on the situation he's got in the Raiders. I don't think he's in a great situation, but we'll see how well it goes. Now, guys, we'll go to college football. Not college football, college basketball, where it's all about the at-large bids. Mainly the teams that are in the bubble who have a chance of making it in. Now, first, we'll start with the SEC. They have two teams that have the potential, which is
Mm,
the Texas A&M Aggies and the Missouri Tigers. Which, look, Texas A&M I can get with. Missouri,
yeah,
no, they suck, dude. They suck. Missouri sucks, dude. Don't let these idiots in.
we
Don't.
are
They
we talk,
suck.
wait, we talking about Mizzou?
Yeah,
Texas
they
A&M, I agree. Texas A&M has had some really good wins this
Yeah, they're
season.
the
So
only of the two I would even give a chance to.
You
The only
say
two,
no.
like the only one, like Missouri, no. Like they have teams that are locked, 7 teams at least: Florida, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Tennessee,
Yeah,
Georgia, and Kentucky. Tennessee and Arkansas, I'm not gonna lie, Tennessee I kind of question a little bit, but I can kind of see why because they
I
have
can
a good
see.
record.
I mean, from a ranking standpoint, I think Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, definitely. Um, I can see Mizzou making it. I can
I
see.
hope they
Well,
don't. I really hope they don't.
I can see Mizzou making it, or it also depends if Kentucky can win because Kentucky can knock them out and they can make it over Mizzou.
I want Kentucky to win because I don't want these idiots in there because they're not good. Uh, like they're just not. I've seen them; they suck. Now the 3 teams they do have that have some work to do, but they won't make it in, not at all. Texas Longhorns, Auburn
Yeah,
Tigers, Oklahoma Sooners. Those guys are not getting in no matter what.
yeah, I don't think they're gonna get in. I
Yeah. So,
liked.
but
I loved Texas last year, but once they lost Trey Johnson, a lot of their guys,
mhm.
that team had they did not get all they needed for this season. But they still played pretty well. I think they finished above 500, which is always a good thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see them as a playoff contention team this year.
no doubt. I don't see any of the 3 that have work to do within the bubble.
Yeah,
They're not getting in. That's not happening. Missouri should be in there because again, I think Texas A&M is the only one of the teams of the SEC in that bubble that even deserves, even has a chance to be in there. Missouri should not be in there. Like Kentucky, please beat this team. I don't not want to see these morons in there. They are just again. I've watched them. They suck like crazy. They just suck. Like, oh god. Now, for the Big Ten, you have 6 teams. It's Michigan,
right.
not surprising. Illinois, not surprising. Purdue, not surprising. Michigan State,
No,
not surprising. Nebraska,
no.
not surprising. Wisconsin, a little surprising, but not really. They've actually
I
they're,
think
they're
Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's back on their run. They had an incredible run. I think it was around 2014,
yeah.
15. That was really
Yeah,
impressive.
that's when they were like at their best. It was like 2014, 2015. The years after, they've
Yeah.
been kind of good, but they haven't been like what they used to be. This
Hmm.
this time, like they actually are in, and they're it seems like they're back now. The 3 who have the best shot of getting in: UCLA Bruins, which is not surprising because they're a good basketball team. The
Yeah,
Iowa
I feel like they.
Hawkeyes.
Yeah, like when they first got there, like the first like couple of seasons, they really needed to turn around, and they really done a good job. I like the
Mhm.
way UCLA has bounced back
I
this
think they've
season.
adjusted to being in the Big Ten a
They
lot better.
definitely have.
Like their
Yeah,
basketball team's done a lot better than their football team, no doubt. But look, their football team made a good hire, so hopefully that could turn around for them too. The second team is Iowa, which it's not surprising. Like Iowa's always been in the hunt.
yeah. I
Like
think Iowa's always gonna
they've been
be
a
on
good
top.
basketball team. It's funny because it's like Iowa football and Iowa basketball are the same. 2 good programs, but just stuck in the same old stuckness. Like, just
Shout
stuck
out
in
Caitlin
the
Clark. Shout out Caitlin Clark for
Yeah,
sure.
well, there's a difference. That's women's basketball. We talking about men's basketball here, and let's be real. She is the only reason why like Iowa's basketball, as far as like she was the only reason anybody gave a damn. Because the men's
Yeah,
basketball,
she
they are just
was.
mediocre as hell. Like the football
Yeah.
team, it really is concerning. It's like how are y'all mediocre in both football and basketball? How y'all never take that next step, even though you guys got some good teams? Like, dang, dude.
Yeah, they have some
Different
good
coaches.
potential. They have some good potential and some good coaches. I don't know. I think I first, especially being in this conference, like they go against so many ranked opponents that it's kind of they definitely get to see how it feels to go against guys.
Yeah. And the last team that has a chance is none other than Ohio State's men's basketball team. After beating both Penn State and Indiana, it seems like they've pretty much locked themselves within the bubble. You see, here's what I am worried about them facing Iowa because that tends to be the one team that knocks them out.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as the bubble teams, that's the one team that always knocks them out every time. So hopefully, and they did beat Purdue, funny enough, along their run as well. So the fact that Ohio State's men's basketball team may finally end up making the freaking NCAA tournament will finally be something for everybody because it's like it was great watching them. I'm not gonna lie, the basketball team got better as the years went on. Like it took them a while. They've always had chances. It's just that they never could finish, and it's like now they have, and it's like they may finally end up. They may not be a great basketball team, but they'd be good at least. is what it
Yeah,
looks like to me. Like that's what it looks like. Now I am curious to see how they look after Bruce Thornton because I'm not gonna lie, that is terrifying. But I will say their players have gotten better. Like I do like Evan. I do like what's that dude's name? The one that likes to shoot like Steph Curry.
you mean all of them? You mean
His
every
last
single
name is
last one
Mobley.
of them? The whole
His last
team.
name is Mobley. I forget. Dude, I'm sorry. I watched Ohio State basketball, but it's like sometimes they kind of get on my nerves. Like I watched the women's basketball, they're great. The men's basketball, they're just meh, but they've been good. Mobley's been really good.
Yeah,
And a couple of the other new guys they got, especially out of the portal, they've been good. They've been getting better. So I'm really hoping to see that after Bruce Thornton, this team can continue to be good. At least get the right people. Hopefully. And then the one team they have that has some work to do is Indiana, which I think after losing to Ohio State, I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah,
yeah.
they're not getting.
I don't see Indiana getting in. Not with this. Not with this group of teams.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely
I,
not.
yeah. I think for me, I see UCLA staying where they are. Um, I want to see what Purdue's gonna do,
Hmm.
especially for the next game up. Because they did end the season losing to Wisconsin. So that's interesting. That's interesting for Purdue. Wasn't expecting that.
Oh yeah, that's. Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, it's not surprising because Ohio State basketball has beaten Purdue a lot. It was like it kind of reminds me of. I'm like, I said this too. Like, remember, this is such a funny joke. That Ohio State basketball to Purdue basketball is like Purdue to Ohio State football in so many senses. Except like Purdue was like the worst team in the Big Ten, and they beat Ohio State like 5 times. Like actually had a winning record against Ohio State, hilariously enough during the stretch. Whereas like with Ohio State basketball, like they're mid, they're not bad like Purdue
Mhm.
football is, but they're like kind of mid. But they always end up beating Purdue and giving them a run for their money, whether that be at home or on the road, which is so ridiculous. That is such a funny parallel where a mid basketball team from the other program is being your top basketball program, whereas the worst team in the Big Ten as far as football ends up beating, well, one of the two worst, because that was Indiana for a point, ends up beating the
Mhm.
best team in the Big Ten. So like, that's kind of funny. That's a funny parallel.
Yeah, Michigan sometimes surprises me because sometimes they have really good strides where they're really good, and then have really strides where they're just like, okay,
Horrible.
what's going on?
Horrific.
like,
Now,
like,
here's what you can say. It's also depending on coaching hire. Whereas, like, Dusty May was probably the best hire they've made. And getting rid of
yeah,
Jawan Howard's thug self actually helped them. Now, for the
yeah.
Big 12,
I think
now go
Dewan
ahead.
held them back. I think Dewan held them back a lot of times.
And his little douchebag son. Uh, for the Big 12, you have the Arizona Wildcats, Houston Cougars, Iowa State Cyclones, not surprising. Those three
Hmm.
schools, I'm not surprised. The Texas Tech Raiders, which is kind of funny that both them and their football team end up making the playoffs. That's actually kind of funny. The Kansas Jayhawks, not surprising with that because they've always been a good basketball school. And the BYU Cougars, that's
Yeah,
not surprising either. Honestly, the only one that would seem surprising. Honestly, none of these are really that surprising. Like Texas Tech Raiders might be the most surprising of the bunch, but the rest of them really aren't.
I'm so I have no faith in Kansas. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not.
I have
I'm not
no
saying you have faith, but it's like it's not surprising that they made
no.
it. It's like they've been good.
It's here's why I say that from a standpoint. Kansas is a great team. I think Kansas. If you can't buy into the program, then you cannot buy into the winning system. I think we got a lot of players on Kansas that are great, and y'all know who I'm talking about. Who needs to be better? I am calling you out, Darren Peterson. You gotta show up, man. You gotta show up, man. No more illnesses. No more. Hey, I can't play. No more. I'm playing too long. You gotta show up because now it's
Mhm.
time now to show why everybody has had so much to say about you. This is it. So
I feel like the ones who do that are the ones which are the most overhyped.
yeah, really, this
It
NIL is
really
changing
is.
people.
Yeah, and then yeah, so like those teams again. Texas Tech Raiders. I mean, you could kind of be surprised, but not really. But all those teams you kind of expect because the Big 12 is such a good basketball conference. It's not
Yeah.
surprising. Now, the two they have that have a chance of getting in are the TCU Horned Frogs and the UFC Knights, which is fun because both these teams have had good football and bad football, and they have good basketball. They're good basketball schools, and they even have some pretty good football schools. And then one team that has the work to do is the Cincinnati Bearcats, which is kind of surprising. They haven't been good this year as much as people
Mm.
think.
I think a team that can really get in here is BYU. I think BYU has a really good chance of probably
Oh,
jumping over
BYU's
this.
locked in. TCU and UFC are the two that you would have to say
Oh,
would
really?
chance. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
all
they're locked
right.
in.
Good for you.
BYU, they like I said, it's not.
Then I definitely TCU's had first. Shout out to TCU. I think for the past
Mhm.
2 seasons they've done a great job of keeping themselves, keep getting better, especially
Yeah,
with the players they've been getting. So shout out to TCU. I don't know if they can hold it.
I
I
don't think so.
think I don't think they can hold it. I think especially with WVU, they they've been doing good.
Hmm.
They have been doing good. They've been on a good of a tear. So I want to see what they how they're going to set them up for the Big 12. I want to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I have seen TCU. They've always been a pretty good basketball program, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. But I don't know if they'll get in this time. UCF, I don't think they'll get in. Even though they have a chance, I don't think they will. Especially based on some metrics, based on a lot of stuff that might prevent them from getting in. And like I said, Cincinnati, I don't expect them to. Now, to the ACC, they only have four teams, which this is a surprising out of all of them. The Duke Blue Devils, not surprising. Virginia
Yeah.
Cavaliers, not surprising. North Carolina Tar Heels, not surprising.
Not surprising
Louisville
at all.
Cardinals, not surprising. Like, that's not surprising. Now, they have
No.
three teams who have a chance, which is Clemson Tigers, hilariously, Miami, and NC State Wolfpack. Those are the three teams who are in the that have a chance of getting in from the bubble.
Hmm. I think Louisville. I think Louisville. I like
Oh, Louisville's
Louisville's.
locked in. Like I said, it's Clemson, Miami, and NC State. That's it.
Oh, Clemson, Miami, NC State.
Yeah, those are the three
Mm,
that have a chance from the bubble. Like Louisville's
mhm.
already in. They're locked.
Clemson, Miami, NC. Mm,
It's
Clemson, Miami.
being said that like Clemson has a 94% chance of getting in, and Miami has a 90%. But I'm like, we'll see, because they have had some good basketball this year, and and imagine that for Clemson. You at the Depot Sweetie era, you were at the highest of your peak. Now you're just down below, and you're basically back to being a basketball school.
Hmm. Back to reality. Back to reality for a lot of these. I like Miami. I like Miami. They got to keep the roll going. Come on, we didn't make the
Yeah.
national championship. We got to make the playoffs. We got to keep the tide
You
going.
would hope they would, but we'll see. Whereas now the four teams that have some work to do, who definitely won't be getting in, and one of them I find the most surprising. Work to do is MS. God damn it, SMU Mustangs. I'm not surprised that they're
Yeah,
not in because they've been bad. See, Stanford, I'm surprised they're not in because they have been a basketball school in their pride, and it's like, ooh,
I feel like the women's team for Stanford was is like a whole lot better compared to the men's,
oh, no doubt.
but
That's
I
what
can
I'm
see,
saying. It's like,
yeah.
man, that's terrifying. That
You
the
know,
SEC is bad. Oh, and
you
before
know who's the you know what
Virginia Tech,
surprises me? Oh,
the
Virginia Tech,
yeah, Virginia Tech Hokies,
Syracuse.
and then you
Mm.
have the California Golden Bears. No, like Syracuse ain't even in there.
Yeah, from like the start of the season that Syracuse had, I was definitely expecting a lot more wins going into their favor. To see them this low, man, it's crazy. But I like SMU. Um, they do have some work to do, especially with Stanford too. I think they both still have work to do. I think Stanford is one of those teams that I really want to see be great. They just have to put certain things in line. I feel like they've always been like those schools, the education schools.
Hmm.
But we also play a little bit of basketball and football too, just
Yeah.
to pass the
Oh,
time.
So now we have obviously for the Big East, which is another which is a full on basketball conference, and they only have three teams that are locked in. UConn, not surprising.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
surprising at
you.
all. Both them and their women's team, I'm not surprised. St. John's Red Storm, I've never heard of that. And the Villanova Wildcats. See, now that's not surprising. Villanova and UConn, it's not surprising that these two teams get in. And then there's another, like from the MAC, you only have three teams, which is the Gonzaga Bulldogs, which ain't surprising. St. Mary's Jails,
Yeah,
I don't care for them. Utah State Aggies, I don't watch them as much. Now, you only have two teams that have a chance out of all that, which would be Miami of Ohio Redhawks and the St. Louis Blitness. And I don't think either of these two teams get in, if I'm being honest, but we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I when you look at this Big East conference, I think the main two teams is St. John and UConn. As always, I think those guys are always going to be going at each other. So
Yeah,
for everybody else,
those three, I'm not surprised.
Villanova, of course, has always been one of those teams that just always does well in the Big East conference. Uh,
Ask the New York Knicks, the Nova Knicks.
oh, the Nova Knicks,
Like
man.
yeah, super funny too because it's like you have some teams trying to become they're trying to do exactly what the New York Knicks did with the with basketball, and you got some teams trying to do that with football with like certain teams from other players. Like I said, like you
Yeah.
have some people from the New York Jets trying to become the Ohio State Jets or the New York Buckeyes, like one of the two.
Yeah.
But you also have the Cardinals trying to do it as well because they got like a bunch of Buckeye players on their team as well. Like you got teams
Mhm.
trying to at least do that. You got teams trying. They're trying to become something. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm like it's just like I say with those teams I'm never gonna be surprised. Like the teams from the Big East, those three, you're never gonna be surprised with them. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna be surprised from them. I don't know. A part of me wanted it to be the Paul's year a little bit, just to get in there, just to have a moment. They got some work to do, like
They do.
always.
You gotta give it that. Like they do got some stuff they need to work on, but
Yeah.
it's nothing new. Now, like obviously we all talked about this. There have been some news going on in the NBA, and let me see if I can kind of pull up some of the news stories because
Mm.
I will say it has been a bit kind of difficult. But here's one right here. A different pass, same situation. How Shane, okay, SGA, aka if
Yeah.
everybody knows who that is, Shane Gilgeous
St.
Alexander.
Gilgit and Gilgis Alexander.
Yeah, he came to contest one of Wilt Chamberlain's scoring records, which is actually pretty crazy too. That he did do that. He came very close to contesting one of Wilt Chamberlain's records, and if we're being honest, that is historical. If he did come that close, now
Hmm.
let's be realistic about it. How impressed are you to hear that? By the way, like I find that super impressive.
I find it impressive, but also SGA is one of those scorers that he's impactful with the game. I mean, he can get
Yeah.
to anywhere on the floor that he wants to. He has a quick little dribble. He has like a really quick like step back shot. But
Hmm.
when SGA gets into a groove, especially at the free throw line, a lot of it can be at the free throw line. SGA can score with the best of them. He is a very quick scorer. And that's what you love about SGA, especially at his height, his speed, his agility.
And you
You
know what you
know,
love
when he
about
gets,
him even more? It's the fact that that man can also play some defense.
oh yeah, I think that whole OKC team is a defensive team, which is
Yeah.
incredible to me. From Shea to Jalen to shit to Chet to that whole team can play defense. It's crazy. But yeah, SGA, a good defender, can do both ends of the floor. And you have and there's not a lot of two-way players you see in the NBA these days,
Hmm.
especially as versatile as he is. Great player. So it's not it's shocking, but it's also not surprising. I mean, if we were to talk about like I know like D Book scored like 70 in a game. I think it was around like 2016, 17.
Hmm.
Like scorers can score.
No doubt.
So Yeah. No, that's
The
not
other
surprising.
thing is too is like it's like with Shea Gill, it's like he's another young up and coming star who's really getting
Mhm.
NBA fans. Because like I said, we're starting to see the NBA kind of trend up, and stars like Shea Gill is starting that trend. Now there is another set of news. Apparently, Giannis Antetokounmpo won't be available on Sunday. He won't be able to play back to back nights. I get it's,
I'm not surprising.
like
I
here's the
don't.
funny thing. I don't think he's taking like I don't think he's doing the what we've seen a lot of players do, which is do that like load management. But
Yeah, no.
he might
He,
legitimately
he
be hurt.
he's really dealing with injuries, but I also think from a standpoint is Milwaukee's keeping him out. I think
Yeah,
this is his last year in Milwaukee in total. I don't think he's ever coming back to this
and
team
he's
again.
been loyal to them too for so long. But there's a point in time where you
Yeah,
do got to leave, and at least he won a national.
yeah.
At least he won an NBA title there, so you got to give him that.
He gave them what they wanted. I wish he would have done more, but they've messed up so much for him. He's been so limited in so
Oh
many
yeah,
different ways. Yeah,
yeah. Another another news is about speaking of injuries is about Jason Tatum. He
yeah.
came back. Jason Tatum's back from a 10-month recovery, and obviously they ended up beating. I think they ended up beating the Spurs, if
Dallas.
I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, because it was
they
against
beat.
Wemby. He went up against. So,
His first game back was against Dallas.
oh okay.
Uh, other Dallas Texas team.
I remember seeing him
He
against.
just
I thought I saw him against Wemby. It might be some other game that I'm thinking of.
yeah, but his first game back he had 15. Uh,
Not
he was
surprising,
yeah, he had about I think it was he had doubles and about a double in rebounds. Uh,
which is good.
to come back from a torn from the injury he sustained in the semifinals of the NBA playoffs last year, and to do that in under a year, where a lot of players would have set out the entire season this year, is incredible. And he was doing 5-on-5s, I think, in like 8 months.
Hmm.
Like his preparation, like he didn't want to be away. Like he wanted to be there.
He's one of those
And
NBA players that actually wants to be on the court, where it's like he doesn't want to be away. Like he wants to come. So I'm not surprised because like we've only seen this from one NBA player who really came back from injury, especially and still ended up playing great, which was Kevin Durant. Obviously, like we've seen every time he
mhm,
gets injured, he comes right back because he wants to be back. Um, and that's what I'm happy to see is Jason Tatum here just working his butt off and honestly being able to come back in the fashion in which he did. It's honestly great.
yeah.
Now he will be playing. They will be hosting the Warriors if they haven't already, and they will be playing the Wolves starting on next week Saturday. So
Yeah. I wanna see how they're going to watch how he plays. Cause
yeah,
I know he doesn't want to like miss any games, but I think it is a preparational standpoint of making sure that he doesn't overdo his ACL, like still letting him
yeah.
rest, giving him rest days. So I want to see how they're gonna monitor that
I think
because
what
you
they're gonna
don't
do is
want
they're gonna have him play. Like I think if I had to think about it, they're gonna have him play for a little bit, then they're gonna take him off the bench. Like I think they're gonna have times and places like for him to go
to,
in and rest, for him to go in and
because
play,
he's
then go
not
out and rest.
on a minutes restriction, which I was very very shocked about. I was
Surprised.
expecting, yeah, I was definitely expecting to be on a minutes restriction,
He should
especially
be a
coming
minutes
back.
restriction, but I think they're gonna want him to come in at a certain point, which is why I don't think they put him in minutes restrictions. Like they're gonna want him to come in on certain aspects, or like putting him on a minutes restriction might not allow them to put him in when they need him the most.
Mhm.
So I think that's what they're gonna try to do is they're gonna restrict his minutes, but they're gonna do it in the way where it allows them to use him when they need him
Yeah,
without
because I think he played 20 minutes, like 20,
yeah
27 minutes.
he played like
So
20 minutes.
yeah, so it's something in far those lines. I agree. I think that they can use him in certain places, but still like let him get like rest,
Yeah, that's what I think
stretch,
this is.
work his like because they're gonna for playoff for the when the playoffs start. I know Jason is going to go into a whole different drive, especially now when he really starts getting used to playing games. Their next game is against the Spurs, so that's
Mhm.
going to be a big test. a testament to how really clear he is. And he still has his team. Like Jalen Brown is still there, an incredible player. Derek White, uh, Niko Vucevic, we know is out, going to be out with a finger injury for a while. But when
Yeah.
he returns, that I think that whole team is going to play really well. I think
Hmm.
Vooch adds a lot of veteran presence and also a lot of ability to space the
Oh
floor
yeah.
out.
Oh, and speaking of another injury, is that Kyler Murray had injured his ankle against the Knicks, and I'm not sure if he'll be out for long, but I think they will put him in issue. I think they'll do exactly what like the Celtics are doing for the what they're
Hmm.
doing for Jason Tatum, which they won't put him on minutes restriction, but they will restrict his minutes and only put him in there when they need him. And then in other news, Chris Middleton receives a 25K fine for throwing his mouthpiece. He did that against the
I
he
man,
did that
I
against the
think
Orlando Magic and he threw his mouthpiece. I'm like, why would you do that, bro?
yeah, it's so many like bro, the mouthpiece throne is all they always get you for something.
Mhm.
And and Chris is not one of those players that really likes to he doesn't get irritated. So if he threw his mouthpiece, he was livid.
He was
He's
irate.
the not the player to lose his cool. So it's something he definitely did not like.
Oh yeah,
And
LeBron
yeah,
breaks Kareem's record for most career field goals. Okay, that's not surprising given how long he's played. So not surprising.
yeah. I think
Um,
LeBron there's nothing LeBron can do at this point.
No, like he wants to break. I think he wants to break as many records as he can, so he can try to call himself the
Yeah.
goat. But it's
I
like,
need I
brother,
need
what makes
him.
you goat is not just how many records you break. Because here's what's funny: Michael Jordan could have broken all the records you did in lesser time if he played longer. Like that's
Yeah.
just reality. No matter how much you want to
I need championships to
just
match
show
record
that.
breaking.
Like you had four, that's Michael's six, and Michael's undefeated in the finals. You have lost a bunch of finals. I think he's 4-6 in the finals. So like that's not gonna help your case at all. But look, you're already up there as one of the goats, even if people dislike you and hate you and don't think you deserve it. Like you deserve it.
Mm,
No offense, like you do deserve to be called because you did do what you did. But it's like at the end of the day, you're not the goat. And that's the other reason as to why people get so angry with you. It's because of that. Now, the final thing we could talk about regarding the NBA is the James Harden Cavaliers, how that's been going. It's actually been going good for the Cavaliers lately. Uh,
it has been going really good. The Celtics did beat them today.
yeah.
I think that there's still some pieces. Also, did it? The Cavs were injured. I'm not gonna say like
Yeah, like
it was a fully
we're
healthy
not saying as if
Cavs team.
it's going downhill. They were hurt.
We're not gonna say it was a fully healthy Cavs team that they beat. I'm saying you can see where there's still some things to work on in between.
Hmm.
Now we know who James Harden is. We know who Donovan Mitchell is. We know who this team is as a whole. But it's still certain pieces that can bring them over. Now James has a couple more shots to show that he can be a playoff player, and it's now he has to show that he can do that like fully now because I think he only has maybe another year or two. Like James wants to keep playing. I appreciate him for wanting to still stick it out, but like I don't. I feel Donovan would have definitely left if James didn't come
Hmm.
because I feel like his experiment with Cleveland was coming to an end where he was
Yeah,
going to want out of Cleveland. So James has given him something to fight for.
absolutely. If you ask me, I think that's exactly what had happened. If you ask me, and then I'm not gonna lie, it has been going good for the Cavaliers so far. So hopefully, and look, the Cavaliers have had chances. It's just that they always choked it. So you're kind of hoping if
Yeah.
they can make it all the way to the NBA Finals, maybe this can help them. Even though James doesn't have the greatest history,
Nope.
but I mean
Not at
he
all.
doesn't, whether people want to admit it or not. But this could be helpful. And look, he had a chance with Brooklyn until injuries happened and a bunch of coaching crap happened. So like this what destroyed it. But if you ask me, I do think that this has been. I do think for the Cavaliers, this was a great move, and it's going to continue to get better. And hopefully, we see this entire team healthy by that point. Um, Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We know it's kind of been long. It's already been like an hour and 39. So and look, when you have me and James here, you're gonna have all nothing but factual talk, and you're gonna have long shows like this. And I am
Yeah.
planning to have Eric hook us up with a live studio as long as with a recording studio. So this way we can record our stuff, but also live stream when we need to. And I do think it would be better as well when we do start doing this. So like James, tell everybody where they can find you. You have like an
Well,
X or
you can, yeah, you can find guys. Find me on Instagram for sure. Find me on Instagram. My Instagram is jfgross 007. Follow me. Um, we do a lot of in depth talk. Of course, follow the Ohio State podcast for anything involving Ohio State football, basketball, and of course myself. Uh, we're locked in, guys. We're a family now. This is a family. We're a
yeah,
family
yeah.
now.
Yeah, and I know for a fact you guys have told you before. I know you guys would love to have James come on to be a part of the OHL podcast at some point. And trust me, he will be on one of the live shows eventually of the roundtable. Because, like I said, I think for Eric and them, they would love to have him on whenever he's free. So it would be
Hmm.
best. And trust me, the next time we have this show, he can tell you guys all about the about all the trades and all the news that's happening behind the scenes in the NFL as well. So thank you guys for being on. Like, share, subscribe. Please comment in the comment section to help the algorithm help us get out there and help the algorithm get out there. And trust me, you guys are gonna want to enjoy the show. If you want to see more like this, make sure you guys hit that like button. I promise you guys, and subscribe. Again, subscribe because it's gonna really help us get our numbers up. Have engagement, and you guys and tell us what you guys love about the show. Tell us what you guys want to hear more of, and trust me, we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys again. All right, well, peace out. We go.